Welcome to Roadmap to 1 Million. My name is Stacey Zeal, and if you're looking to make more money, gain your time back, and rapidly grow your visibility so that you can impact way more people with your brilliance, you're in the right place. This podcast is your one-stop shop for turning your online business dreams into a reality. My main goal is to give women entrepreneurs just like you the marketing strategies, guidance, and expert insights you need to hit that $1 million milestone and beyond. Whether you're a coach, a consultant, or an online brand that wants to make a big impact, Roadmap to 1 Million gives you the actionable strategies and inspiration you need so that you can implement right away, no fluff, no fuss. So CEO, are you ready to buckle up and accelerate your growth? Be sure to follow the show and let's dive in. Get ready to uncover your Roadmap to 1 Million. Okay, hey y'all, welcome back to Roadmap to 1 Million. My name is Stacey. I am your host, and I am super excited for y'all to be here for another episode of Roadmap to 1 Million. And this whole kind of last few weeks on the podcast has really been about setting you up for 2024. And today we are talking about building momentum as we're going into this new year and using our quiz funnels to actually be able to do that. So if you are someone who's been thinking, hey, maybe I need a quiz, I'm not sure, everybody's talking about quizzes, I have the quiz queen on here that's going to give you all the tea on all things quizzes. So welcome, Tai Goodwin, to the show. How are you?
I am so excited to have this conversation, Stacey. I'm in a good mood.
Yes. Oh, she has great hair, y'all. Like, let me tell you, the hair is fantastic. All right. So before we jump in to start talking about quizzes and lead magnets, all the things, tell us a little bit about your background, your journey to where you are today.
Well, I started my career off as an actual fifth grade teacher. Like, if you would have asked me where would I be 30 plus years ago, I would have never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. But I went from teacher to corporate trainer, to, wanting to launch while working and having a side business and then turning that side business into a full-time business. And the best thing that I love about what I'm doing now is it's the perfect combination between the teacher in me who loves to create content and loves to educate, plus the tech side of what I get to do. So it's like the perfect marriage between those two things.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And so you have a company called That Marketing Team. And so what does that marketing team actually do for your clients?
We focus on lead generation and marketing automation. So a lot of my clients, they are coaches, consultants, healers, those people who they are brilliant at what they do, but their least favorite thing to do is spend time doing a whole bunch of marketing stuff. And so we help them either put systems in place for them or teach them how to put systems in place so that they can do it and do it with ease and not feel like so overwhelmed with it. And that's part of how we got to do with quizzes, because a lot of my clients, they want to generate leads. They need a community of buyers, but they don't know, or they don't have a lead magnet that actually works well. And quizzes have been one of the best lead magnets that we've ever used. So if we can either build one for them or show them how to do it, it's a game changer.
Yeah, definitely, y'all. My quiz, I took Ty's masterclass that was all about quizzes and using, and what we're talking about, y'all, is client attracting quizzes, right? We are not talking about Buzzfeed, which type of Beyonce are you, right? Like, we are talking about the kinds of quizzes that are actually going to bring you leads and convert into sales. And so let's back up a little bit and talk about why is it important still for us coaches and consultants to really have a strong lead magnet. I know some people are on the camp of like, oh, do we need a lead magnet? Some people have gotten to that place where they've built their business without having a lead magnet, like a PDF guide or something like that. So could you talk a little bit about why having that lead magnet is important for people in our industry?
Well, yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of people that you're right. They have been using referrals and, and that's great. But it's kind of like Lizzo, right? Referrals are great until they got to be great. Right?
Yeah.
And then you get on that referral roller coaster, or revenue roller coaster of somebody gave me a referral this month, so I got a client. Next month, no referrals come through. And then you're like freaking out. And so we don't want to be in that spot where we're always dependent on somebody else to get us business. Like, that's a really rough spot to be in. And so what a lead magnet does is it allows you to attract and pull people into your space so that they can start to build a relationship and get to know you. If you get a referral from somebody, it's kind of like a jump start because, hey, so-and-so referred you. Oh, okay, it's cool. It's in, right? But if I don't know you, I gotta get to who are you? Like, what do you do? Like, how can you help me? And there's a little bit of a relationship that you've got to build. And that's what a lead magnet allows you to do. It allows you to pull those people in and start building a relationship with them so that at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, you can actually invite them to work with you, sell, whatever you want to call it, solve the problem that they have. And that's what a lead magnet is good for.
Yeah, I love that. And I love, I look at lead magnets in a sense that like we're in an age where our email addresses are our currency, right? Like we know that if I give you my email address, then you're going to market to me, right? You're going to send me sales emails. You're going to send me, you add me to your newsletter, all kinds of stuff. And so your consumers, your customers, we know that. And because we know that, saying things just like, oh, join my newsletter is not as impactful as giving somebody an inside look into who they are, where they're at, or giving them some kind of incentive to give you their email address. Because like I said, like we know that it's currency. And I know you're going to follow up me and send me all the sales messaging, but as the business owner, because we see the value in email and how big of an ROI email has just in general, we have to find ways to incentivize people to get on our email list and not just rely on people saying, hey, join my newsletter, because who really wants another newsletter, right? Like, it's not like, it's like saying, send me another piece of mail, right? Like I get tons of mail. I do not need any more mail, right? But if you're willing to give me something that is going to help me to get a quick win or overcome a small problem that I have, or give me a little insight into where I'm at to help me to qualify, what I have going on, then I'm willing to give you my email address because I am getting something in return. And so
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, no, I mean, the other piece to that is, first of all, absolutely to what you said, but here's the other thing: the consumers are getting really savvy right now, mm-hmm. right? And so for you to just say, I have a product doesn't faze anybody anymore, because guess what? 12 other people have a product too. Mm-hmm. So you to just tell me, oh, come to my class because I don't know you, and there's 10 other people saying the same thing. But that lead magnet, if it helps me solve a problem and it gives me a little bit of a taste, I'm more prone to talk to you because you gave me something of value.
Right. So absolutely. Exactly. Giving something of value. I think that that's one of the things. And I think, the unique thing with quizzes, and I would love to hear your take on why quizzes are really a more effective lead magnet than, say, like a PDF guide or something like that. And I think that with quizzes, the beautiful thing with quizzes is that it helps people to understand where they're at, right? Like I get people who ask me all the time, am I ready for Facebook ads? And that is a question I answer on every podcast I go on. It's a question that I get asked all the time whenever I do webinars, whenever I do anything. And so if I can create something that can let people know, yes, no, maybe, if they are ready, where they're at on that scale, that helps to overcome that objection that someone may have and saying like, oh, I'm not ready for Facebook ads. Because most of the time you probably are more ready than you think. There's other stuff that's coming up that's keeping you from jumping in. So would love to hear your take on why quizzes are more effective than some of the other traditional lead magnets out there.
Well, for a number of reasons. It's interactive, and that's where a lot of marketing is going right now. So it's not just me, getting a PDF form. It's you're asking questions about me, and what do I love to talk about more than anything else? Me, right? So if you're asking these questions about me, and it's going to be more personalized, the feedback that I'm going to get, the emails can be more personalized. Those are the things that make quizzes so attractive, but that's for the end user, right? People love talking about themselves. If you're going to give me some information that's based on me, I'm going to take the quiz. Why entrepreneurs are like diving into this is because, well, two things. Number one, the conversion rate for quizzes as a lead magnet is like freaking incredible. So on average, like a PDF download, you're going to see a conversion rate of about 15 to 20%. 20% if it's a really good lead magnet. Quizzes, you're going to see anywhere from 30 to 40% conversion rate. We actually had one of our e-commerce clients. Her quiz was converting at about 40 to 50%. We had another client who does video marketing. Her quiz converts at about 60 to 70%. So imagine every 100 people that come to her website and take that quiz, 60 of them are giving her email or giving them an email address and opting in. And you don't see that in traditional lead magnets.
Are you a CEO with an amazing one-to-many offer who's tired of creating endless amounts of content that is not helping you hit your high revenue goals? Well, look no further than Maximize with Ads. Maximize with Ads is designed to help you exponentially increase your sales, rapidly grow your visibility, and gain your time back by leveraging the power of Facebook and Instagram ads. From developing a scalable Facebook ad strategy to setting up your tech to targeting the right audiences and creating irresistible ads, we've got you covered. Plus, our private support community is always available to answer your questions and provide personalized feedback. If you're ready to stop spending all your valuable CEO time creating endless amounts of content and start executing a leveraged strategy that allows you to travel the world, pay for private school, or start living the life you started your business to live in the first place, then head over to maximizewithads.com to enroll. Visit maximizewithads.com to learn more and get started today. All right, let's jump back into the episode.
Yeah, that's such a great point, right? Because if we're thinking about how, marketing, comes down to numbers, in a lot of senses. And this was one of the things I loved about your masterclass is that you took us through an exercise. So we knew like how much traffic do I need to actually get in order for me to make the desired number of sales that I want. And I think that that's something that a lot of coaches and service providers, we kind of miss that, right? We think like, hey, I'm just, creating, but you don't realize that like there is a certain number of people that will never buy anything from you. And then there's a certain number of people who are like, hey, maybe I'm not ready. I want to be on your email list so that way I can, warm me up a little bit. And there's a very, very small percentage of people that are actually ready to buy right now. And so when you have these types of lead magnets, it helps you to be able to get more of those people to reach the end result, right? More. So when you're making more offers, then you're making more sales. And it just boils down to.
Yeah. So it's so funny. People really think that, they're going to see one Facebook post and they're going to buy my stuff, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to, see one amazing reel that I made and everybody's going to buy my stuff. And it just does not happen that way. And we liken marketing to dating all the time. So it's like, and I got to put get on my soapbox because I say this every time I say it. Most people don't get married on the first date. Mm-hmm. Unless you're Morris Chestnut or Jason Momoa, because if you guys show up, I'm going to come with the dress and the ring, no questions asked. But everybody else, no, we're not getting married on a first date, right? We have to, woo me. We got to talk. I got to get to know you. I got to see you in around a couple of rotations of the sun, right? Like what's going on in your life? Mm-hmm. And our clients are like the same way. Like they're not going to buy the first time they see our content. And so how do you continue the conversation? And that's why email marketing is so huge. Like people think email marketing is dead. Email marketing is still the number one way that businesses get new clients and make money from their existing client base. And one of my favorite numbers, the ROI of email marketing, return on investment. For every $1 you spend, you can expect about $42 back from email marketing. And people miss that all the time. They think it's dead and it's not. It's better than social media, Facebook, TikTok, don't matter. Email marketing ROI is much better.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would agree with that because, we really like to think like, that everybody is remembering what we're saying all the time, or we think that everybody sees our social posts, and that's just not what happens. Like you may post, I saw someone, she had posted a thing saying like, oh, I posted, 16 reels today to kind of like to test the algorithm. It's like, was asking people how many people saw it. And I'm like, I didn't see any of them. Right. Like, so it's not about, so, and there are people that some people said they saw it. Some people they said they didn't. And I thought it was just such a great illustration of how we really think that, the only person that sees all of your posts is you, right? Like, or your assistant, right? Like we are the only people that see all of our posts. And so while we may think that we are telling a comprehensive story with social, there are a lot of little pieces that are missing because social only gives you a glimpse into what someone's talking about or a glimpse into a concept. But with email, you can really paint a full picture. You can take people on a journey. And no, everybody's not going to open every one of your emails, but right. It has a far more better ROI. It has a more likely for someone to actually see it. And at least that person received it for the most part, right? If we're taking spam out the way. But at least that person actually who opted in received it, whether they opened it or not. We can't control whether people read things or not, but at least they received it. So tell me a little bit about if we're, thinking about, are there any particular businesses that quizzes don't work for? Or like, can you give us some examples of some different industries that quizzes work really, really well for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we've done quizzes for so many different types of businesses. So one of my favorite quizzes was for a gynecologist. And it was called Where Did My O Go? Because she was working with women in their libido, right? So ladies were talking about that O. And it was to help them figure out if it was was it a dietary issue, is it a stress issue, is it a medication issue, just by answering some questions. We've done quizzes. We did a quiz for a lawyer. She was a lawyer, and she coached other lawyers how to build $7 million, like 7-figure firms, right? And so we had created a quiz for her to generate more leads. We had a quiz for a real estate investor. It was called the OPM quiz, how to use other people's money to fund your next revenue, to fund your next real estate deal. And so, again, we did it for e-commerce brands. My very first business for an eyelash brand. And that's how I knew that this was going to be successful. Now, I built the quiz for myself first, and that's how I generated a whole bunch of leads in a short amount of time. And when I finally did it for a client, it convinced me even more. She had an eyelash company, and I still have the pictures of the screenshots of the emails. It was all about what type of lash is right for you. And the emails that we sent out after the quiz generated about $23,000 in sales in 2 weeks. And we're not talking about like $5,000 offers. We're talking about like $87, $70 eyelashes, right? But it was because people would take the quiz. Oh, I need this kind of lash. And they would go right and they would buy her eyelashes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that because it really illustrates how, one, people want to learn, people want to know what to buy, right? Like people want you to tell them either what is the right offer for me, what is the right product for me, what is the right next step for me. And so if we can position ourselves as the business owner to be that trusted source for them, to be able to give them the information or a little bit of clarity about where they're at, quizzes are just such a great way to be able to do that. So when we think about building quizzes, what are some common mistakes that you see? Because I think that we've convinced people that they need a quiz by now, but like, let's talk about, before we start building, what are some common mistakes that you see that we can avoid?
One of the biggest mistakes I see is people just build a quiz.
Yeah.
And like, no, it's a conversation, it's a funnel. So it's not just here, take my quiz, and then you never talk to people again. It's like ghosting, like let's say you met somebody on an app and it was all great. And then as soon as you gave them your phone number, they stopped talking to you. Like that's what people do when they just build a quiz. They have no email follow-up. So that's one of the big mistakes. A lot of times I see people use the wrong tool. They're using like a survey, right? And a survey and a quiz are two completely different things. Surveys, I'm telling you information about me that I already know, right? Like I already know how many kids I have, how many husbands I have, right? Like I know that information. So he will say, oh, take my survey and I'll give you the information back. You're going to give me what I just told you? Like, I don't care, right? And that's what a survey is. But a quiz is going to give me some additional insight that I didn't know before. Another thing that people do, especially when it comes to building, is they start with the questions first. And they usually do that because they think of it like a survey. And I know all the questions I'm going to ask. You don't even know what your quiz is going to be about. How do you know what the questions are? Because I want to know X, Y, Z. It's not all about what you want to know. You got to give people value. And so when you start with the questions first, that's why people have such a hard time having like really good outcomes. When people take our quizzes, one of the things I hear all the time, Stacey, is, this was so spot on. Oh my gosh, this really resonated with me. Yeah, because we've got a process that doesn't start with the questions. It starts with outcomes that we teach people how to build.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was one of the things that when I took your class that stuck out, because, naturally we think like, oh, let me just, create some questions and then I'll think about some outcomes later. But it really kind of reverses your mindset and thinking like, what is the possible result that someone could have who would take this quiz, right? Like, in creating the quiz, there's a lot more strategy that goes into it than I think people realize. Yeah. And especially like if you created a quiz before and it's not effective, or if you are really kind of, wanting to create a quiz that actually is a client attracting quiz and not something where people just jump on your list because they want to win an iPhone or something like that. Like, there really is a strategy behind it. So I know you have a framework for how you walk people through creating quizzes. So can you tell us just, really some of the key components of a client attracting, or effective, I should say, an effective client attracting quiz?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, one of the things it's got to answer a question that people want to know, right? And then the question that you're asking has to be aligned with what you do. There was a person, she sold lotion. And she created this quiz, and her quiz was called, what African goddess are you? And she was confused and she was mad because people were taking her quiz, but they weren't buying her lotion. I'm like, well, you're asking me what African goddess I am. Why would you ever think that means I want to buy lotion from you? Like those are two, like it might feel fun. And she had made up these things, say, well, if you know, if you're Isis and you're this, then you're going to buy this. No, there is nothing that says Isis is going to use cocoa butter over using shea butter. Like that's just totally made up. Right. And so it wasn't realistic. It wasn't something that was aligned. And she was excited about it, but nobody was buying. So there wasn't alignment between like what she was selling and what the quiz question was. Right. You have to make sure those things align. The other thing is you got to really make sure that you're aligning your content and your outcomes to something that's going to help people. You know, like you mentioned before, like the Buzzfeed quizzes, like we're not, you know, what Disney princess are you? And, you know, what kind of, you know, Atlanta housewife character are you? Like, no, let's take a step back. How is that information going to benefit them? How is it going to help me? Now, there are some quizzes you can make and you can have a little bit of fun with it, right? We incorporate a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, when you're trying to get people to buy and not just get people to buzz, you actually have to make sure that your content has value to them. So what are you giving them? Are you giving them a free report? That's one of the packages that we offer. Like we'll help you create these reports that people get, right? So that when you take the quiz, you're not just going to get a thanks for taking the quiz, buy my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, let me walk you through because a big piece of this is education. You know, if you're using a quiz to generate leads and part of your marketing strategy is that you've got to spend time educating people about what your solution is and how it works, you're going to need to have some really good content and a really good strong email series in order to guide people from you know being interested to give you their email address to where they're in and they're going to be invested in working with you.
Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely spot on. Really kind of great summary of what you actually need, right? Because again, like you said, like we don't want a quiz that's just going to fill our email list because then people are going to grow their email list and they're just like, oh, well, nobody's buying from me. And it's like, well, yeah, like I really don't, didn't need that question answered. I just was curious, right? Like I've taken the Disney quiz just because I was curious, right? Not because I really actually wanted to buy anything or because I had some time and I just wanted to fill some time, right? But as business owners, we really have to put ourselves in the seat of what is that question that my clients need answered before they can move forward to work with me? What is it that they need to know about themselves before they actually move forward to working with me? And I think that, your methodology and the way you walk people through it is just such a great framework because it tells you like, hey, like, yes, I do want to know what people are, I want to know about my clients, but more importantly, my clients need to know something about themselves before they're actually going to buy from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about, because now that we have our, like, we've talked about some key elements of a quiz, let's talk about traffic because I love that, when you talk about quizzes, it's not just about saying like, okay, I have a quiz, I'm going to put it on my website and I'm never going to, use it ever again, right? I'm just going to let people trickle into it. What are some effective strategies that you see that are most effective for driving leads to this quiz? And more so like, like quality leads. Because I know that a lot of us are like, we can get leads, but we want those quality targeted specific leads that we know are going to turn into customers. So what are some effective strategies that you find or that your clients have found in growing the leads that they can get with the quiz?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. And a quiz is a lead magnet at the end of the day. And whether it's a quiz or not, Stacey, I've seen people create amazing lead magnets and just leave them sitting there and then they're wondering why they're not getting any leads. Well, you didn't show it to anybody. Nobody saw it, Well, I got 500 people following me on Facebook. So that means 2 people saw it. Right? Like when you take a look at the numbers. So you got to have a traffic strategy. And we always talk about 3 buckets that traffic falls into, organic, traffic. And I want to be really clear that organic does not just mean you posting on social media when you feel like it, right? Organic is about SEO. Organic is about backlinks and there's all different things that you want to do for organic outreach that's beyond just social media. And let me be clear too, it's not just Facebook. There's so many other platforms out there. Like we've got a client that she just came through one of our boot camps and she built her quiz in a weekend. And her quiz is about like Black artists. Like what kind of Black art collector are you? And we're talking about her traffic strategy. Like, so you got stuff going out on Pinterest, right? And you're looking at Pinterest ads, right? Why? Because people that are visual and buying art, they're looking for the visuals there more than they're probably looking for it on Facebook. Right. So you got to expand it, for that. But that's the paid traffic, right? That's the other side of it. Right? Paid traffic is one of the other places. But then the third thing that we talk about when driving traffic is all about the leverage traffic. And one of my favorite ways to leverage traffic is with podcasts. Right. And people underestimate the power of podcasts, but podcasts, the average income of podcast people is like $200,000. On average, they listen to about 7 podcasts a week. Right. And so there's a real strong market there. So one of our strategies has been for us to get on podcasts every month and talk about what we do. This year we've been about on 60 podcasts. Right. But that's what we do. And that's leveraging other people's audience, because all you got to do is show up and be an expert. All you got to do is show up and have a conversation, and it's going to get you in front of more audiences.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So those 3 things, y'all. So they're organic marketing. So, and outside of just Facebook, right? Yes, we want to post this on Facebook. Yes, you want to add this to your link in bio, but you definitely want to make sure that you are creating content that drives people to this quiz, and you're diversifying your efforts. So you're making sure you're leveraging Pinterest and, SEO. And some things that I think are effective is like, if you have blog posts, like if you're blogging, add your quiz in there as a lead magnet, right? Like, maybe someone wants to go deeper. Maybe you talk about something that surrounds your quiz, and then that drives people to that next step. And so we always have to make sure that we are driving people to the next step. We're not just giving people information and expecting them to know what to do next. So be very active with it. So that's organic marketing. And there's so many different things that you can do there. Paid ads. Y'all know I love Facebook ads. I talk about Facebook ads all the time. I've actually run Pinterest ads before as well. It was a big part of what I was doing when I was working at Zappos. But Pinterest ads are really, really good because Pinterest is a search engine, right? Like, it is just another search engine, and people are going there for more visual kinds of things. I go on Pinterest to look for, business kinds of stuff as well, in addition to looking for personal things. So having, Pinterest be, Pinterest advertising be a place to go. But I really do see Facebook ads also being very effective when it comes to quizzes. I had a client who, she was in the financial services space. She has a course, and we were using a quiz to really kind of drive people to different places. Just kind of give them let them know what their kind of client archetype or something was. And that would then, based on their outcome, we would drive them to the course, or we would drive them to one-on-one consults. So different kinds of ways that you can do it. But we were running Facebook ads to it, and we were getting very, very, very low cost per lead. I think it was like $1.50 cost per lead is what we were getting. We were running Facebook ads to a quiz. And so Facebook ads, y'all, is definitely a great place that you want to make sure that if you're seeing success on Facebook and Instagram, and y'all know I've talked about Facebook ads a lot, so go back and listen to the episodes if you need to know if you're ready and all that kind of good stuff. But Facebook ads are definitely a great place for you to elevate your quiz. And then that last piece that she said was leveraged audiences. So when you're going and speaking in different places, when you're going on podcasts, when you're going on guest summits, all that kind of stuff. And I do a lot of speaking. And so I'm excited to have my quiz actually done so I can send it to people. And it's called What's Missing in Your Marketing. And so the reason I created this quiz when I took Ty's class, and she really kind of helped me to think about, like, what do my clients need to understand? And a lot of y'all need to understand that, like, if you're doing a lot of marketing, you're doing the things, you're showing up, but you're not getting as significant of a growth as you want, right? Like, maybe you've hit somewhere under 6 figures, or you're around that early 6 figures, and you're starting to really kind of see that your growth is kind of inching along, or you're not really growing, you're kind of plateaued. And so this quiz is really going to give you the insight into what's missing, so that way you know what to focus on to really kind of propel yourself forward. And so if you want to take that quiz, make sure you go to stacyzeal.co/quiz, and you can take that quiz. But I love all of those different ways to drive traffic. So let's also talk about the data piece of quizzes, because I think that's another untapped way, or like not something that people don't talk about as much, because I love data. And especially when you pair the data that you get with Facebook ads with the data that you can get from quizzes, I think that that's just going to give so many people a leg up if they know what to look for. So can you speak a little bit to how we can leverage what kind of data we can get from our quizzes, and how we can leverage that to close more clients?
Well, yeah. Well, this is what separates like the newbies from the mature people when it comes to marketing, right? Because newbies get excited about the text and the tool. Oh, I got a quiz. I'm going to get a quiz. I'm like, that's great. But the mature and the real savvy entrepreneurs and marketers that I talk to, they're not just excited about having a quiz, they're excited about what the information they're going to get from the quiz. Now, so let me paint this picture too. When you give somebody an opportunity to download your PDF, okay, all you're going to get is an email address. That's all you know. But when you have a quiz and you've asked the right questions, you get way more than just an email address. Now I know a little bit more about you. I've got some demographic information. I've got some behavior based information that I can now use to segment my audience so that I can personalize my messages. And so, for example, like even a demographic question, I'll keep it real simple. One of the demographic questions, if you're asking about like, well, what type of business do you have? Right. Or a good one would be like, how many years have you been in business? Right. If I want to work with people who have been in business for over 5 years, but I'm getting a lot of people coming in that are like 0 to 1, what does that tell me? It doesn't tell me that my quiz is bad. It tells me that my marketing and my positioning is wrong because I'm getting all these people to take it, but they're 0 to 1. Yes, I don't want those people. So let me go back and change my messaging for who I'm targeting. Let me put it in different places, right? But I wouldn't be able to figure that out if I didn't ask those questions and get that data, right? So we're not just using the data to, make us feel happy, right? Like, oh, I got all the stuff. How are we using it to then personalize our messages? How are we using it to change our email strategy? How are we using it to segment our audience? How are we using it to create better offers, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things can be done once you have that data. And if you're in a B2B space, there's even more opportunity because if you've done a really solid job in a B2B space and you've got something like, like one of the things we've got is a marketing automation scorecard. So let's say we've got 1,000 people that have taken that. Guess what Tai gets to do at the end of the year? I got a report based on 1,000 people in this industry. Here's their top 3 or 4 challenges, blah, blah, blah. Guess what Tai can now do? She can now sell that report. She can use that report and leverage it for something else. But data like that is super valuable. And a lot of people overlook that because they get so caught up in, I got a quiz. But that's a very newbie move to do. You want to be able to take that data and then do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that all of you said, because it's so important for us to really understand where people are at when they're coming into our world. So like you're saying, like, if you know that most of your clients are, 250K plus, but you're getting a lot of people who are making less than 6 figures, that's a great data point for you to say like, hey, like maybe I will create a smaller offer for people who are in that audience, right? Maybe I need to create something that's a light pack, that's a light version of my signature offer for those people because I'm seeing I get a ton of people who are in that space. Mm-hmm. Or if you're like you're saying, you want to get people who are making more money, then you need to elevate your messaging. You need to put your quiz in spaces where people who have more businesses who have a higher revenue are. And I love the last piece that you said about creating reports for people, because a lot of these companies do create reports, especially here in the B2B space. It's like, if I know, for example, I believe it's HubSpot, for example, does they do all kinds of surveys and stuff like that and put out reports and things like that. CRM systems do this, they put out a lot of reports about where people are at. And so it really helps you to contextualize where you're at, where as the user, but then it also helps you as the business owner to understand where your people are at when they're coming into your world. And you can feed them different kinds of information, because if I see a lot of people are coming into my world and they're not ready for Facebook ads, that means I needed to create some stuff that helps them to get ready, right? Or I needed to start to shift my content a little bit so that I can make sure that I capture people who are ready. And so there is so much data. And I think that we don't lean on data as heavily as CEOs, or like our CEOs who are not as marketing savvy, right? You and I are marketers, so we get it. So we're like, yes, I need the data, right? Be able to move forward. But a lot of our CEOs out there, coaches or service providers, you're really, really great at what you do. Like you're really great at, helping people to change their lives, change their diets. You have a really great product. You're really great at sales. So you coach sales. And so you have a really, really great skill set. But then when it comes to the marketing, that may not be your zone of genius. So you're not thinking about all the data that you can get when you use these kinds of offers like quizzes and ads and things like that gives you so much more data than you can get organically.
Yeah. And a lot of people make their marketing decisions based on their emotions. And that's, I see it all the time, like in our coaching, program, like somebody will say, oh, I did so much this weekend. I'm like, okay, what did you do? Well, I was on social media and I did so much. Okay, how many conversations did you have? I didn't have any conversations, but I did a lot. No, 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 no. You felt like you did a lot because you spent time on Facebook, but 80% of that time you're looking at reels. You're responding to somebody about, Will and Jada or something like that. I don't know what you were doing, but you weren't doing the things that matter, because when you take a look again at the data, right? And I say this all the time, if you spend hours on social media every day and you're not coming away with a new client, a new book call, a new person in your Facebook group, or a new DM conversation, you're doing something wrong. You should have one of those every time you're on social media. At least one of those things should be happening. But we go by our feeling, and I feel really good because 5 people like my post today. That is not going to cut it.
Yeah. Yes. I love that. Those kind of, things that give us that dopamine rush of like, ooh, people are actually engaging. But I find, honestly, most of my clients are lurkers, right? They're either looking at my stuff, they're not liking or they're not commenting, but they're just looking at looking what I have to say, and they're self-qualifying. They're figuring out, like, am I ready to work with Stacey? Am I not ready to work with her? Like, what kind of offers does she have? And so it really does give you the ability to get people who are just lurking, who are just consuming your posts, and really get them to raise their hand, because you're asking them to learn something about themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, people always want to learn more about themselves. That's why, like, I think, these Enneagrams and all that kind of stuff is super popular, because people want to know more about themselves. And so I think that this wave of, like, with quizzes and things like that, I think it really is just going to continue to grow. So are there any kind of trends or anything that you see coming into the quiz world that we need to, or even with lead magnets in general, that you want to kind of throw out there that we want to pay attention to?
Well, yeah, well, there's one trend that I see, and I'm on the fence about it, because I've seen, like, there's a couple of new tools out there, and one of them has like this video quiz piece, and I honestly don't like it, and I'll tell you why. Here's what I don't like. I get that video is trendy, but video is trendy in snippets and small doses.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what I see with these quiz video platforms is, okay, I answered your question. Now you want me to watch like a minute long video before I get to the next question and the next question. I'm not trying to be in your course. Like, that's a micro course. That's not a quiz. And the other thing is, you have to remember that people are taking a quiz on the phone. So a lot of times in our quizzes, you'll see it says, answer 7 quick questions, or, take this quiz and in 5 minutes, you'll discover blank, because people don't want to feel like, oh my gosh, I got to watch this. I got to listen to this. And so that's a trend that I'm seeing, because people are trying to, like, oh, quizzes are great and video is great. Let's put it together. But I really, like, I don't think that's a great thing. I think there's a way to use quizzes, like in video, like when a trend is at the end of the video, at the end of the quiz, have a video that kind of connects the dots, because now that people have bought in, they're more willing to listen. But I like that better than this trend of, oh, let's do a quiz and a video, and every time you answer a question, now I have to come back and say, okay, great. Now I want to ask you about X, Y, and Z. That's kind of like being on an airplane when they come up with the all the hand gestures about, hey, use this and put your mask on first. Ain't nobody paying attention.
I'm trying to watch The Equalizer.
Exactly, right? I'm trying to get my last 5 text messages
exactly, in. Right. Right, exactly. I love that's such a great illustration of how sometimes, we may want to pair things together that really are going to kind of, like, hinder our customers. Because you're right, like, if I am taking a quiz, most likely I'm on my phone. Maybe I, clicked on it because I saw it on your Facebook, or I saw your ad. I clicked on it on my phone and I'm just trying to take it real quick. And then, or if I'm at the grocery store, if I'm at the doctor's office or something like that, and I'm taking this quiz, I don't want to have to watch a video before I answer the next question. And attention spans are already short as it is, right? Like, somebody can get through your quiz in a few minutes, but then you add a bunch of videos in there that takes that quiz from being 5 minutes to now 10 minutes. People don't really have, the attention span to be able to sit through something for 10 minutes. Right. And so I think that it's so important to illustrate that you kind of took that trend and illustrated how you can combine video, like adding it to the results page. I remember I took a quiz one time, and on the results page, each of the results, she had a different video just talking about, what that individual person might be going through, and kind of walking through the outcome. And I thought that was very effective, because then it's like, if I'm taking the quiz on my phone and you're emailing me the results, I can wait till I get on my email, till I get on my computer to actually look at the results, right? Like I don't need to look at it right then, or I can watch the video at some point when I get a chance. So I love that. This has been so fantastic. I think everyone who is listening would most likely benefit from having a quiz. And honestly, like I'm excited to have more quizzes within my business because I want to be able to ask my clients things like, have them like when I onboard clients, giving me some background data about them instead of just the normal forms that I have them fill out, making it a little bit more interactive. So I see that there's so many ways that y'all can use quizzes. So can you tell us a little bit more about how people can connect with you if they want to learn more, how they can work with you, all that kind of good stuff?
Oh yeah, well I am on social media on all the platforms at Tai Goodwin. You can find me. I love connecting with people there. I have a Facebook group called The Liberated CEO. There we talk about marketing automation and creating more impact and freedom by using the tools that we've got. And then, we've got at thatmarketingteam.com/quiz. We've actually got a quiz that's all about like what marketing automation will speed up your sales. Because I think like that's one of the things that we focus on, right? Is like what do you have a way to automatically qualify people? Do you have a way to automatically, onboard people? Like there are different things that you can do. And a lot of times people are letting their sales slip through because they don't have enough automation built into their business. And if you're trying to scale, you had your first taste of six figures and now you're trying to get multiple six figures, you can't continue to do things manually. You need to put in some automation in your business.
Yeah, definitely. Love that. And I know that you also have a course called Quiz and Grow Rich. And if you are someone who is interested in building your own quiz, because I know that Tai also does done for you. So if you need someone to build your quiz and you don't want so for me, I took her masterclass and I took her course, and because of me, I am the problem. The CEO is the problem. My assistant has gotten me everything I needed to create to finish this quiz, and it's on me why it took so long. But so if you want the done for you services, Tai does also offer that. But if you do want to go the route of her course, it is a fantastic course. I've taken it. There is also some AI kind of stuff built in there that'll help you to get it done faster. But what we put together is really kind of like what I'm calling the ultimate lead generation bundle. So if you are someone who is like, hey, I know that I want to add a quiz to my lead, use a quiz as my lead magnet to get that data that we talked about, to be able to get, more leads onto your list. But then you also understand that you want to leverage Facebook and Instagram ads to drive traffic to that quiz. We have a bundle where you can get both of our courses. So go over to stacyzeal.co/quiz funnel. And that link is going to be in the show notes and all the description and everything. So stacyzeal.co/quiz funnel. And that's where you can check out our ultimate lead generation bundle so that you can learn how to create your own quiz and you can start to DIY your own Facebook and Instagram ads. So thank you so much, Tai, for coming on the show. You have given us such great information. I can't wait for everyone to hear this.
OMG, that episode was packed with gems. Are you ready for more? Head over to stacyzeal.co/podcast to get the show notes and to sign up to get our top 5 podcast episodes to help you streamline your marketing so you can make this your $1 million year. Head over to stacyzeal.co/podcast.